I don't know what was going on there, but unfortunately I had to change computers today. My other one got locked up some kind of way. I don't know how. Just got on the darn computer and it just went to where they told me my whole computer was locked and it had been reported as stolen. And so, back to dust went my little computer. But I'm glad that my microphone is working. So let me send a shout out to all you good folks who popped in for the broadcast. Hope you're having a good day. I'm not feeling too good. But I'm going to try to get a little bit said that's on my mind and my heart. I woke up kind of early this morning, somewhere around 6 a.m. And I happened to let that old devil tell me to scan the Twitterland hallways. So I proceeded to listening to the devil, and the devil said, "Who did you boycott? Go scan the Twitterland hallway." So I go scan the Twitterland hallway, and I pop into this space anonymously. That's what I do from time to time when I'm taking a little break from my other work. I kind of need to take a little break every now and then. So I be grinding so hard that if I don't take a little break, I'm just going to pass out. So from time to time, I try to make sure I take a little break. So when I took that little break, the devil told me to pop into this space anonymously. And lo and behold, once again, I get in there at just the right time to hear April showers going off in her normal fashion. I mean, the lady has gotten it down to an art. I mean, I've heard it a couple times, quite a few times I've heard her recite the same speech out of her little mouth. And she must have it memorized or something, because she really don't miss many of the points. But I assume she was responding to Zip. I don't know Zip, and I don't know April Showers. I only can evaluate what I have observed from being on Twitterland. And Zip is a upstanding man from what I can tell without meeting him face to face. April Showers, I really can't put it into words. I guess over the span of our life, we run into different individuals with different personalities. And I've heard this lady brag about what they doing. I constantly hear her jump on stage and brag about what they doing. It was no reason for April Showers to disrespect Zip. And no one on that stage had any pushback. A lady and ABM, they came to the defense of April Showers. They were there to take up for her. When I know from my observation from being in different spaces with Zip, that man has never disrespected anyone. Not one time. And that's hard. That's almost hard to do on Twitterland and this toxic environment that we each live in. It's downright almost impossible not to go off from time to time. It's downright almost impossible. But I can say without hesitation In all the times that I've been in spaces and have listened to Zip being on one of these stages in Twitter spaces, that man has never been disrespectful to anyone. Not anyone. In all the months that I have listened to him on a stage, on a Twitter stage, that man has never said anything disrespectful to anyone. But April Showers did the same thing not too long ago to Tupac's, another man. Another man. So it looks like you folks on Twitter land has given this lady the green light to be disrespectful to men. But she's not the only one. Seems like something is in the air that women think they can be disrespectful to men. I don't know who convinced these women that they can be disrespectful to men, but somebody needs to sit them down and have a heart-to-heart talk with them. Because in the past 2 years, I have witnessed this too many times to count. Too many times to count, I have witnessed women come off of their microphone and be downright disrespectful to men. Some of the men, they come back at them. Some of the men try to deal with it in a very respectful way so that the woman will check themselves. But most of the women, they just ratchet it up. Just witnessed that the other day with Nikki Barnes. The way she went off on Talent New Negro Republic, it was uncalled for. It was downright uncalled for. The man never said one derogatory thing to that lady, but asked her a simple question, and she flew off the handle and let the words start flowing out her mouth. Downright disrespectful. So folks don't just make up their minds that all they care about is being disrespectful to each other. That's the bottom line. They just care about waking up day after day and figuring out who I'm going to disrespect today so I can feel like I'm important, that I'm going to stick my chest out. So let me wake up today and put my feet on the floor and find out who am I going to encounter that I'm going to have an opportunity to disrespect. That seems to be what's in the air, because folks ain't doing nothing else. Like I said, April Showers gets on Twitter land and brag about what they doing, that you don't know what we are doing. We are offline. We are offline. We are not talking about it in public. We are doing all of this work behind the scenes. You know what it sounds like to me? I believe in being frank and honest with myself and other folks. When I was in the military, I can remember being around so many different personalities. And as always, I've always been a person that evaluates a person, because I want to do my absolute best to accept them however they present themselves. I've always made it a conscious effort that I am going to evaluate that person that I'm interacting with, because it's my job to accept that individual however they choose to present their self to me as we're interacting with each other. So I've always done that. I guess I started doing it because my mother sat me down one day. She said, "You are judged by the company you keep." She said, "You are always going to be judged by the company you keep." So it was planted in my brain that whoever I associated with, whoever I hung around with, I I personally were going to be judged by that, based on those persons' character. Those individual persons that I choose to sit down and talk with, choose to hang out with, choose to do whatever I choose to do, that we choose to do together, I am going to be judged by the company that I keep. I took that to heart. I took it to heart. And as I grew up and started evaluating the peers that I was hanging around with in elementary, junior high school, then high school, each step of the way, I had to sit down and evaluate the individuals that I was choosing to spend time with. Was I doing a good job of evaluating their character? Was I doing a good job to evaluate their character? And hopefully they were doing a good job to evaluate my character. So, as I went through junior high school and high school, there was very few persons that I associated with on a very close basis. My childhood friends that I grew up with, we pretty much stayed connected until I got to the 10th grade. When I got to the 10th grade, that's when I had to do some real hard thinking. I was running with the crowd. I was playing hooky. My mother didn't know I was doing that. My mother did not know I was playing hooky. My mother certainly did not know the different individuals that I was hanging out with. So the day came when, about halfway through the 10th grade, I pretty much had figured out that I was going to fail English that year in school. I ended up failing English that year. I remember halfway through that 10th grade year, I told the friends that I had grew up with since probably 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. We had been around each other all of those years. From the time I went to 1st grade, from the time I went to 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. We in high school now. It's getting serious. Because, at least for me it was, because I wanted to be on my own. My mother was hard. She was very, very disciplined. And she laid down the rules really, really hard. And I love my mother, but I was ready for my freedom. I was ready to strike out on my own and see what I was made of. I guess we all feel that way when we know we're going to be turning 18 someday, if we live to see that day, that we all want to, break out on our own and make our own decisions and own mistakes and live our own life. So in the 10th grade, I knew I had to get my act together. I knew I wanted to finish high school, even though I knew I couldn't stand school. And school was hard for me. It was hard for me to get through all those grades of school. But in the 10th grade, when I failed that English and had to take 2 Englishes in the 11th grade, it got my attention really, really serious. Because I knew if I didn't finish that high school, I was not going to be able to pursue my dream to go into the military. I wanted to go into the military. And I knew the only way I could go into that military was to finish high school. So I buckled down and I passed both of those Englishes in 11th grade. That very year I took Black History and I made straight A's. For the first time in my life, I could come to an understanding that, Aquilin, you have the ability to learn. You have the ability to do really good if you're taking a subject that you really are interested in. So when I cut those friends, I had to cut my friends loose in the 10th grade. I said goodbye. I said it's time for us to part ways. We parted ways. They went their way, I went my way. With no hard feelings. We didn't get in no fight. We didn't curse each other up and down. We didn't call each other names. We didn't do anything. We just went our separate ways. And life went on. I never hardly miss a day as my years went on that I didn't think about each of them. I still think about them today. So, when I look back on that time in my life and I think about the military and I think about civilian life and I think about the age that I am right now, and when I was in the military, it was very clear that it was lopsided, it was unfair. It was all about the good old boys club, what I would call the good old boys club. We familiar with the good old boys club. And when I hear April Showers talking, that's what it sounds like to me. You know, that's what it really sounds like to me. They want to call it something else, so be it. But it sounds like the good old boys club. You got to be invited. You got to get an invite to be a part of that clique. You have to get a special invite to be a part of that clique, to be a part of that club. It's no different than the Jews and the KKK and the Proud Boys and the NAACP and the ERA and the AKA and the D9 and all of these fraternities. They're all fraternities that they handpick, select who is going to be in and who is going to be out. Who is going to be in and who is going to be out. That sorry lady, I am fed up with hearing her give her little speech. And I challenge you women to start checking these women. You need to start checking these women and stop sitting back and listening to them tear our men down. You need to stop it ASAP. You need to stop it ASAP. Because enough is enough. The men in our community are on the front lines every single day. Every single day that they wake up, they are on the front lines to be strong and be protectors and be fighters. While us women, we don't have to put on that coat. Us women, we do not have to put on that coat. We do not have to be on the front line. We don't have to be fighters. And we are not the target. But we got some gall to get on a public app and take the liberty to disrespect men anytime we feel like it. Where did that come from? I would kind of like to know, where did that come from? Because when I was growing up, that was not tolerated. That was not tolerated. So I have no clue when that started. I clearly was off planet Earth when that took place. I had to be off of planet Earth when that took place. When that green light was given to women to disrespect men, Aquilin had to be off the planet. Because not any women that be around me have ever done that. So I have to be completely oblivious to when that started happening. Someone needs to send me a DM and explain to me, when did this start happening? When did women get the green light to feel that they have the liberty to disrespect men in our community? Who told them that? I would kind of like to know who told these women they have the right to do that. Now, as far as the men go, that's up to the men. The men need to check the men. I'm a woman. I am a woman, so I'm gonna speak to the women. That's what I'm gonna do. And any person that got a problem with it, they can request an invite to my broadcast anytime they feel like it. Anytime they feel like it, they can request a invite to my broadcast and we can hash it out. We can clearly hash it out. I am not one of those persons that don't know how to be fair. I'm not like you folks who be in these Twitter spaces and you're so unfair. You're just so unfair. You totally control the mute button. You do your little gain attack. You gain attack folks on the stage if they're not part of your clique. If they're not part of your clique, they're gonna get gain attack. Cause folks can't stand on their own. They gotta attack you in numbers like they were doing in junior high school and senior high school. That's what they gotta do. They can't handle their business by themselves. All they little peons got to chime in too, like they did last night with Zip. All the little peons had to pile on. I'm going to repeat again. Zip, that man has only shown respect every time I have listened to him in a Twitter space. I cannot say that same thing for April Showers. And I'm not going to sit up here and lie. So I would like to know what you folks plan to do about how all of this disrespect is running rampant. It's just running rampant. It's just running rampant. Folks think they got it going on because they can control a mute button. They can control a mute button. M-U-T-E. They feel empowered because they can control a mute button. They can gain up on folks and attack them. So they feel empowered. So Miss April Showers think they are doing a whole lot. Then we got the folks who are part of the D9 and the AKA and the organizations, and then you got the LLC nonprofit organizations and the profit organizations. Everybody is running, is hustling. Everybody's got to hustle. Everybody got to hustle. We got the D9s and the AKAs and the alumni and the NAACP and the Congressional Black Caucus, and we got the ERA, and we got the YouTube channels, and we got the Twitter folks, and we got the Clubhouse folks, and we got the TikTok folks, and we got the on and on and on. Everybody want to be a gangster. Everybody wants to be a gangster. Everybody want to stick their chest out. Say, I'm doing something in my community. I'm doing the work. I'm doing the work in my community. You can't talk to me. You can't talk to me because I'm doing the work in my community. I've got boots on the ground. I got boots on the ground. I got boots on the ground, and I'm doing the work in the community. You folks need to stop lying to yourself. You need to stop lying to yourself, because things are going to get a lot worse if folks don't pull their head out the sand. And then we got all these folks who are doing a good job of positioning themselves. They really putting themselves in a good position. We got Nikki Barnes. I heard her talk for the first time the other day. This lady been in a profession for 27 years. You've been in a job for 27 years, and your community don't know as much as you know or more. Something is wrong. See how that works? If you have the knowledge and you're not doing everything in your ability to spread that knowledge to as many human beings as humanly possible, and if you don't have the ability to get the word out to the masses, then you recruit as many human beings as you need to get that information out to the masses. And we got other folks who talk about, oh, it's all this money out there. It's all this money out there. Oh, my Lord, it's just so much money out there. It's just so much money out there that you can't even count it all. It would just be impossible for you to count it all. Why don't you have a nonprofit? Why don't you have an LLC nonprofit? Why don't you have a profit organization business? Why don't you know how to apply for grants? Why you don't know how to get a government contract? Why you don't know how to get a grant? Why you don't know how to set up an LLC nonprofit? Why you don't know how to set up a business for profit? Why you don't know about all this money that's out there? All this money that's out there. Well, you folks who know about it, I guess you must be gatekeeping it. Seeing as how you certainly know how to get on a stage and boast about it. Is it a well-kept secret? Is it a well-kept secret? Because I've heard enough of you folks brag about all this money that's out there. I done heard for over 2 years you folks brag about this money. Brag about all these grants that are out there. All these grants are out there. All these government contracts are out there. All of this money is going to the state. And you should be getting your share of it. You just lazy. You just don't know the right people. You just lazy. You just dumb. You just lazy. See, but who did you boycott was a training NCO in the military. See how that works? Little old me was made a training NCO because I knew my job so well. I knew my job like the back of my hands. I knew my job like the back of my hands because that's the way my mother taught me. She taught me, if you're going to do a job, then you do it right. If you are doing a job to empty out a dumpster and you leave one piece of paper in that dumpster, you have done that job halfway. If you take the liberty to leave one piece of paper in that dumpster, then you have done the job halfway. So when I went into the military, I went in there with the right foundation. So the military decided